Hello Ghost Hunters, Tommy Terror here in Edinburgh, and today I've got a haunted close. This is Chalmers Close, just off the Royal Mile. So this place is named after a man called Patrick Chalmers, and he was a belt maker. And it's a handy little shortcut down to Waverley train station if you're rushing for your train. But it's also where to come to see the Museum of Witchcraft and Magic, just up here on the right hand side. A wonderful little museum full of devilish stuff, Ouija boards and voodoo dolls and all that kind of stuff. But what about the hauntings here? Well, since the 1970s, there's been reports of a strange, powerful energy that rushes up this close and pushes past people or knocks them out of the way or pushes them back up onto the Royal Mile. In the 1980s, two women were turning onto the close from the Royal Mile and they were physically pushed up by this force of energy back out onto the street. And in the spring of 2006, a mother and son were walking along here and they were violently knocked out of the way by this rushing energy coming up the street here. So I've always wondered what this thing is, because there's not a lot of information about it that I can find. It could be some kind of poltergeist, an angry poltergeist that doesn't want people coming down here, so it's knocking them out of the way. Or it's maybe some kind of residual energy that's been recorded in the buildings, like a stone tape theory type haunting. There's a lot of traumatic things happened here over the years. Maybe something happened here with someone rushing up the close one day and the energy was so strong it was recorded in the buildings and replayed. And there's a lot of history of witchcraft here as well. In fact, the incident with the mother and son, before they were knocked aside by this thing, they claimed to see a red-haired girl on this close. And we know a lot of the witches were people with red hair, women with red hair accused of being witches, so could be something to do with that. And also up here at the Museum of the Witchcraft and Magic, this used to be part of a cottage from the 17th century, and the owner, Ash, very nice man in there, was telling me that there's supposed to be a tunnel that goes from here down to the Cowgate to an old church, because this used to be part of a bishop's house. So it was a kind of escape tunnel to get away from any trouble at the church. So it could be something to do with that, the energy. And there's some people think it could be the ghost of Patrick Chalmers, the belt maker who the street is named after. But if we look at the stone tape theory thing with energy being recorded in old buildings, there's something interesting down here. Because if we go right down here, what we'll find is an old church, or part of an old church. Look at this here. This is the Trinity Asp. And this is part of an old church that dates from the 1400s. Now this church used to stand down in the area where Waverley Station is today. But in the 1800s they were redeveloping the station and this had to go. So they actually dismantled it and it was numbered brick by brick and rebuilt here. And this is what remains of it. This is the Asp part of the church. So there's a lot of history attached to this building as well. Lovely gargoyles and stuff up there. So maybe this energy is something to do with this. Maybe it's something to do with the bishop's cottage up there at the Museum of Magic. Or maybe it is some kind of angry poltergeist that just doesn't want people here. I don't know. I'd love to find out more about it. But if you ever find yourself coming down here to catch a train or look at the church or go to the museum, be careful. You could be knocked aside by this strange, weird energy on Chalmers Close.